Hiya, Scrubbers. It's Sincere and Mida here after a month-long hiatus. We're actually moving monthly, as we mentioned last time, which is very on point for what's going on now astrologically. Well, we're in Aries season. It's the energetic new year. So we just decided to do things a little bit differently and a little fresher. Some of the stuff, oh, for those of you who are just now jumping in, who have never seen us before, we are the Edge of the Sun, which is a mashup of our names, our business names. My business name is Sunsea Air Wellness, and Midas is the Shared Edge. And together we do energy work, our own special brand of energy work that actually helps people break up any stagnant energy, helps them find clarity around things that may be blocking them from enjoying their lives, living their dream life. Is there anything you want to say, Midas, since we haven't been in here, we haven't been on online in a while?
No, hi, it's good to be back. It's good to.
I just didn't want to like overtake it all.
No, no.
So, okay. So we are now, like I mentioned, in Aries season, and we also had Saturn move into Pisces earlier this month, right? This is significant for us at this time, and Maddie and I wanted to talk about this because we wanted to talk about the butts, right? The things that stop people from doing, right? Not these, but these, the things that stop us from doing the things that we actually dream about doing. Saturn and Pisces is very indicative of that because it is about getting serious about what it is that you dream about. How do you make it happen? What do you need to do? And so often we tend to want to do something and then we block ourselves immediately. The butts go up. It's like, oh, I love that butt. Maida and I actually wanted to talk about this previously before the retreat that we had, which was fantabulous, by the way. And we had this retreat, and we had literally, at some shape or form, hundreds of people interested. But, the feedback that we had gotten from most people, as far as like, this sounds awesome, but the but that they had was about the money. And, while everybody has a different economic situation and we respect that, we noticed that there were some folks that just weren't even allowing themselves to even imagine themselves going to something that they really wanted to do. I know that I had a couple of people that I was talking to, and they're even in this space. They're, energy, workers. And I was telling them about what it was going to be like, what was happening with it. They were all excited. And then as soon as I mentioned how much money it was like the energy just went zoop. Like I could see that they were completely, just I could see it turning in their heads. They were like, it's too much. I can't go. And again, I respect where people are, but I felt like they didn't even give themselves an option of trying to figure it out. Like, okay, is it an issue of do I have to do more classes? Do I put half of it on my credit card? Do I do, just not really trying to figure it out. So in any case, that's what Saturn and Pisces is about, is again, bringing some seriousness and some discipline into how you go about, making your dreams happen. And we're of course in Aries season, which is about action, getting things done, moving forward. So that's what we're going to talk about today are the butts. And Maida, did you want to
No, I
add?
mean, we'll work with it. I think we'll do a little sound meditation just to kind of explore that, what you're saying, like more personally. Because we all have our ideas of what we want, right? Sometimes we don't even have that. Like we think we want something, but we don't. So we use the but also as a reason to get out of it. But sometimes, like you were saying, we really, even if we do entertain something big, it's like, oh, but all the other excuses that come up. So, what we'll work with, like specifically with the Reiki and the sound, is just to explore what is it that you want, and also explore the buts that do arise right quickly, because some of them are pretty obvious. Like we can always like, oh, I don't have enough money, especially if you're used to that as your excuse for a lot of things, which I am. That's always going to kind of come up first.
We all are.
So allowing that to sort of be a process, not to push it away, but like, okay, so what is that but, and where is its source and where is it coming from? Because a lot of times it's not even something that you um, it's something that's either been conditioned into you from your past or from even your parents, with their mindsets. So just kind of understanding more of what that but is, and how it can play out in different ways, and then how to kind of like, okay, it's there, but there's also this dream that is bigger than that, and can we move into that? So that's sort of what we'll work with here.
Yeah. Glad you said that about, where it comes from. That's another thing. It's like it's one thing to acknowledge it, but you really have to dig into what's the origin, what's the root.
Right. Because then it becomes just the excuse. Then you use that
Right.
excuse for everything, and then you never actually do the thing that you want to do. So
Right.
it's fine. I mean, if we want to keep doing the excuse, that's cool. You know, like, all right, yeah, I don't have enough money. Okay. And then that's it. That's where life sort of sits. But if we actually want to move forward and not have that mindset anymore, not be ruled by the butts, but ruled by the dream, then we kind of have to work with that, you know. So
Hmm.
we'll try to do. Yeah, sounds good.
Yep. Works for me.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll do a little sound guided meditation to move comfortably into that space. When we are moving into our own conditioning, it can get real, like a lot of resistance, right? But no, like, but is a strong word. It's needed and it's valuable, but it can really kind of like stand up in front of everything. So we want to just make space for it, but also want to make space for everything else, right? So that we can start to see ourselves and our lives more clearly, and then how we can use those elements of ourselves to guide us through the difficult parts. Um, so, we'll be here for about 5-10 minutes, not too long. So make yourself comfortable to receive, especially like I said, because you might meet a lot of resistance, a lot of conditioning. So do let yourself be in a pretty safe, comfortable, supportive place, lying down or seated comfortably. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And open the mouth to sigh the breath out. You might do that a couple more times if you feel called. Or you might just start to soften into the steady rhythm of the breath. Know that when you really drop down into the steady rhythm of life itself, mirrored in the breath, you are always safe. Always supported, and always guided. So just let yourself flow down the current of breath, of your life at this moment. Like you're on a little raft in the river. And you're just floating down. It can go in different directions. Sometimes we don't choose the direction necessarily, the current itself does. But sometimes you get to choose. So if you are in a place where you're making decisions about which way your life is going, or things you want to do, or dreams you want to see become real, what is it for you at this moment that wants to come forth? want your life to look like. However short or long term the vision. Like you can see where the river ends or is leading you towards. What's there? You see yourself here, but you also see yourself there. But you can't see necessarily the way in between the two. And as you start to make your way down that stream, that river, what starts to block you? It might be the form of an excuse, a mindset, a belief you have about yourself or the world that will prevent you from moving towards that dream. You don't have to push it away. Let it come with all its warriors behind us. Butts come with a lot of warriors to fight for what they believe. It might be a whole bunch of different butts. It might just be one. Just start to examine where they're coming from, where they were constructed, whose beliefs were they to begin with. And just recognizing that they're in actuality pretty small compared to the vastness of the river, the vastness of the path that you've already been on and the one that you are going towards, and the vastness of the dream itself. Can you stay picturing that greater vision, regardless of whatever butts come up? So that you're willing to continue towards it, no matter what excuses come your way, no matter what butts you invite in. Knowing that when you follow, you're always going in the right direction. Before opening your eyes, just let your body relax a little bit. Visiting our own source of resistance creates tension, so making sure that you have released it at least bodily. Unhinging the jaws, unclenching the belly, and reconnecting to the deep fullness of the breath. And then when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. And and Sincere will share what she experienced through that, and hopefully you guys will as well.
Yes, please do. We always welcome any other experiences, regardless of whether or not you think they're right or wrong. There's nothing wrong. Um, okay, interesting little trip. I actually went with you this time. Like normally I kind of I'm sort of listening, but I'm kind of in my own space. But this time I went on the trip with you, which was interesting. Yeah. And so the first thing I saw was a big,
Like you actually meditated, like
yeah,
really.
meaning I actually went with when you were saying do this, do that, do this. I was actually with you. Yeah. Yeah. So I can hear things pop out usually, just certain words and stuff and phrases, but this time I felt like I was with you.
Cool.
Yeah. And it totally reminded me of our paddleboarding excursion, just kind of going down the river. But in any case, so I saw a tree at first, and it of course made me think of Tree of Life, made me think of um, possibilities, especially it being this time of year when acorns grow into trees. Do you know what I mean? Like the smallest thing can grow into something magnificent and mighty. So that's one of the things I thought of. And then that's when you started talking about river, right? And I was like, oh, okay. So it was like almost like this enchanted world, and Merlin, who has showed up several times during these meditations and visions. Merlin, for those of you who don't know, is an ascended master. I guess you would call him that, who is a deity, I guess. But in any case, Merlin is known for, he's like the magician. So basically saying that we're all magicians, we're all capable of creating what it is that we would like. And I loved it because it almost gave like a sense of fantasy to the trip that we were taking, right? So we were in this raft, and Merlin with his hat was just kind of standing up, leading the whole thing, whatever, which I thought was kind of cool. And then a dragon showed up. And at first I was like, oh, that's supposed to be part of the fantasy. But then it made me think that, oh, slaying the dragon, because the dragons come up when the butts of the dragons, you know what I mean? Like they're things that we think we need to eradicate, or we have to eradicate basically. And then I saw, okay, at some point you mentioned something about an obstacle, and I saw like a big block of cement. And then I saw Merlin like like doing mathematical computations. And it was like, okay, so basically we need to figure out how to get around this thing, and maybe even be smart about it or use our own personal intelligence. We all have a special God genius, so maybe that's the thing that gets us around it. But in any case, I saw the equation pi, pi. I saw the symbol for it. And that is a metaphor, I guess, for the nature of life, metaphysically speaking. So it's a mathematical placement. It's like 3.14, I believe. In any case, it metaphorically, I mean, mystically speaking, it's an indication of the nature of life. So, yeah, and then so it's almost like we're figuring out how to manipulate life in a way, how to get around things in life. Then I saw the Two of Wands card, which is very much indicative of moving forward towards whatever it is that you are. What are you looking for? The original rendering, the Rider Waite version of this is a person holding a globe, and there's two wands, and it's almost like, where do I go? It's like the world is right in front of you. You have all these options. So which way do you want to go? What's the decision that you're going to make? Are you going to go on this excursion, or are you going to stay and keep things status quo? And then I saw a sword just kind of came up. Well, actually, I saw balloons first. And then I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then it made me think of ideas. So bringing ideas into the picture. What can you do to get out of the butt? Like, how can you circumvent your way around it? And then I saw swords, which are also indicative of air, which are also indicative of ideas and thoughts and beliefs, even. And then I saw an alligator or a crocodile. I can't tell which one because it was rolled over. And you know how you ever see that? I don't know if where I saw this, but like if you rub an alligator or a crocodile's stomach, they like calm down. So I don't know, huh?
But then you have to like get underneath it.
I know it's like you're flipping it over. Somehow it gets flipped over. And then you're like rubbing, and then it just sort of like stops fighting. So maybe it's like learning how to assuage yourself. And I also realized that I believe crocodiles, I know crocodiles, I don't know if alligators are indicative of um, the sacral chakra. Each chakra has an animal that can be associated with it, and crocodiles associate with the sacral. The sacral has to do with self care. So it could be an issue of not beating up on yourself so much. Maybe it's an issue of knowing that you can get yourself out of the situation by saying nice things. Just being good to yourself and not beating yourself up about not being able to do the things you think you can't do. And lastly, I saw a dragonfly, which is very much about transformation. So something has to transform in order for you to get through the butts. So that's what I saw, folks.
And a lot of
And
times it is our mindset, right? Because it's like we can use that excuse like, oh, I have all these bills to pay, and then we can just kind of push the authority of the butts to something else. So then it's like, oh, I'm free of it because I can't see all this thing, all these reasons that I have that are preventing me from doing it. So it's like, okay, there are those reasons, but there's also other ways out. And it's like, okay, so yeah, you have all these bills to pay, but what if you did save, $5 a week or something? You know what I mean? Like, you can have that be there, but also make a decisive action.
woo, big one today.
A big one. It's a big topic, obviously. I mean, and we come at all the time with it ourselves and with the people we work with. So it's a big thing to work with. So yeah, this is just a small step, but.
No, it's true.
So thanks for
Yeah.
listening.
Yes, thank you. And again, monthly. So we will be back again next the last Thursday of every month. Okay, had to pause there for a second to make sure we had the right date. So it's April 27th. We will be posting our next energy scrub, and we don't know what it's about, but we'll have something interesting, I'm sure. So we hope you all join us again. And just